Oh yeah, it's like a 6-week break.
Yeah, just
Been mental, mate.
felt like a day.
Been mental. You what?
Just felt like a day.
Felt like a day
Yeah.
since we last recorded.
Yeah.
It's zoomed past for you.
Yeah.
I needed the creative outlet. It motivated me to go out and do more creative stuff.
Well, that's
But,
just
like,
it.
yeah,
Like
it's
I
definitely a
started
lack
doing
of
YouTube
collective
since
stuff.
then, and I'm just like I just can't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
What's your YouTube?
I just yeah. So that's been like my outlet. I don't want this to feel like a blag, but I don't really know what to do with it now.
With the podcast?
Yeah.
You don't know what to do with it.
Well, as in like, so I'm finding the articles and stuff, but it's like, and I think it's still just kind of more of an excuse to just chat shit with you, but like as an output, it's not really doing anything for me at the minute.
Oh, fair enough. Well, to be fair, like you haven't really done anything creatively with it, have you? I guess.
No.
Because like even when we were doing like, one of the reasons. Again, this is not like meant to be critical, but one of the reasons I needed a break was I did feel like I was dragging you to do creative stuff that you really didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So like I was like, hey, let's do some filming. You're like, yeah, let's do some writing, and then I'd end up writing half of it for you, and then I'd end up editing it with you, and then end up doing all the creative stuff like on that side. And I was like, when we started, I said, I don't get the impression you actually want to do this.
Yeah, it
but
depends.
you were like, yeah, I do. But then nothing ever came of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends what it is, to be honest. Like I think the last time we were doing creative stuff, like I definitely had some stuff like down and penned out, and then it wound up feeling like more ambitious than we actually had the time for. And that so I think we just ended up just doing the stuff that you'd penned down. But
then even then, like we recorded 2 bits, and then one of the bits you didn't want to edit unless I edited it with you, and it just felt like I was kind of like hand holding, as in I felt like I was dragging you. You know what I mean? It was like, come on, let's do creative stuff. Like,
it was
if
like,
you come round and do it with
like
me,
multiple
like,
takes and stuff. Yeah, it's because it was that one that had that you'd written that we'd done a bunch of takes for each one. I was just like, well, I can choose the takes, but I think you and me have a different way of looking at these things as to what's funny and what isn't, and what's better and what's not.
Yeah.
So like it's still just sitting there. Like I got no problem kind of putting it together. But yeah, I think I've just kind of had a want to sort of start building my own thing for a while. And it's like just literally over the last sort of 3 weeks, I've started doing that, and it's been good. It's different. Like
nice.
It's
what is it? I haven't seen it.
Oh right, yeah, cool. It's to be fair, it kind of fits into the kind of productivity filmmakery kind of space on YouTube. So I've no idea if it would even be your kind of thing.
You're definitely not my kind of thing. So
no,
I mean, probably
no.
not.
We've established that over the last sort of 10, 15 years.
What is it called, for example? What's your YouTube channel called?
Shoot It Steve.
Shoot It Steve. I shall check.
There's only like a couple of things on there at the minute, but I've just finished editing a third, which has taken me a fucking week to do. Yeah,
fair one. But yeah, it's still good. It's like, again, all about the promotion of creative stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Let's say my mantra at the moment is I'm not dragging anybody anymore. Cool. It's not worth it. So like, if I'd say like, let us know what you want to do with the podcast. I could continue on my own if you want. If you want to continue doing stuff, more than welcome. But yeah, have a think. Let us know.
Yeah. Are we talking you and me right now, or are we talking? Is this recording?
It's recording.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Again, it's not big. It's only because you said you don't know what this podcast does for you anymore. It's like, well, yes, that's cool. That's perfectly cool.
Yeah.
We can, just see how it goes. But yeah, I'm not going to be. I'm trying to keep on the mantra of, instead of me like after this podcast, for example, instead of me messaging you a couple of times, just be like, hey, just let us know what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Next week I'll record regardless, and then if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join.
Yeah, no, it was.
You know what I mean?
To be honest, it was trying to, because for me, it's the whole thing has kind of just turned into a good reason to kind of catch up with my mate, as opposed to something that I really want to pour tons of kind of creative energy into. I feel like every time I start trying to do that, I peter out really quick, and like there must be a reason for that when I can pour so much of that energy into other things like for a long period of time, and I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it is kind of like looking at it as a platform and being like, well, is this something that is going to build, or is this something that's kind of just going to stay where it's at, and it's just a good way for us to fuck about? Because I think if that was established, then I wouldn't mind, but it's just trying to figure out if it is something that we are trying to grow, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think again, it's real talk, unemotional talk, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'd say that I've definitely made efforts to help it grow, but again, it's felt. I feel like you've kind of probably been much more detached from it, right?
Yeah,
like, in doing
be told,
any creative stuff and doing like promotional videos and
yeah,
social media and stuff. I feel like for the past year or so, it's been 100% my back.
Definitely, and I think
which is totally cool. But if your concern is like you don't know whether this is wanting to grow or not, I'd say you've become like a silent partner in that regard.
Yeah. I think. I was trying to think about it, and I think like because there was a period of time where I was doing kind of like all of the video stuff, and you were just kind of and you were going through and sending me like the timestamps to make the videos and everything like that, which was like 18 months ago.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like
I think that's when you took it over a year, 18 months, something like that.
When COVID started, I think was like the big switch.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit before that, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think there was like that handover was like a massive kind of degree of burnout for me. That as far as the podcast goes, but we didn't stop. So there was no kind of period of like falling in love with it all again and all of that. It was just kind of okay. I don't know. It felt. I don't know. It felt like sort of like. I don't know how best to describe it, because it's not nearly that severe. But the only thing I can kind of liken it to is breaking up with someone and having to see them every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like. And it's not nearly that severe, but it's that lack of separation.
What were you doing to the footage? What were you doing to the footage to then?
It was that kind of like lack of separation. So it's like, while you can get burnt out with the process, it's the like. I didn't feel like there was any kind of go away, rethink, and come back. It was just kind of keep hammering, still keep hammering it every week, and not really being certain if I'm happy with kind of what I'm putting to the table, or if I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, because at the end of the day, like what I like doing is just fucking chatting shit with my mate. And as long as that doesn't kind of stop, then I don't really have much of an attachment to anything.
So like I mean, there could be, if it's like a not wanting of like to associate this with like creative projects and more just chatting shit, that would be more what you're looking for.
Again, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of having a way to just kind of think it through.
Yeah.
It's just it just struck me earlier on that, like, coming back to this, it's like I've missed kind of talking to you. I haven't missed doing all of this, and I don't know if that's just how it is. Like, you don't miss your job, you don't miss going to work and stuff. It's just something that you do, or if it's if there's a reason for that, or if there's a way to for me to kind of fix that. Not for us to fix it, for me to fix it.
Well, if we put a pin on the podcast for a minute, for those that don't know, again, whether this gets released or not, I don't know. But we've taken a 6-week break. I had a bunch of personal shit that I was going through, and growing up and all that bullshit. And then we're kind of coming back to it cold. Like, I think messaged you like last week or something. It's like, hey, do you want to get started up again, kind of thing. And this is the first time that Steve and I have talked, so it's just talking about it. But put the pause on the podcast thing. One of the reasons that I noticed over the past, a long time since we've been doing the podcast, not the entire time, but it feels like the only time that you and I actually talk is because of the podcast. Yeah. I mean, like, in this 6-week break, there was like one group event that we kind of went to. Yeah. And it's like, that was kind of it, which is, life. And that's part of my growing up thing. I have to accept that, it's not negative, but it's just people start to live their own suburban kind of lives. Yeah. So it's like I've joked about it before with you, where it's like, you asked me if I wanted to come to something. Yeah, that was the group event. You invited me. You're like, oh, it's really short notice. It's in like a month or something. I can't remember how long it was.
It's like a week away.
It was like 2 weeks. Yeah, like, oh my God, a week. And I was like, that's not short notice for me. But I'm, I've got a much more on the brink of death kind of existence. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, well, yeah, I can go do anything. I can shuffle stuff around to do stuff. But like, as soon as it becomes, marriage and not as much dog, but early dog, it's like you start to think like, oh my God, what am I going to do in 100 hours time? It becomes a bit crazier. And that's just suburban, what happens when you start to like your life. You just start to be like, well, let's keep things organised and let's take it at a pace. And let's chill.
It's just hectic. It's hectic, and I think it's like when I was.
But is it hectic? Like, from an outsider's perspective, I fully believe if it's hectic. But like from the impression that I get from the outside, it's like, say you finished work at 5 and you're going to bed at 10. Then there's like 3 hours of planned stuff, like cook food with family, and then chill out and then go to bed. Is that the hectic kind of like? It's just been planned that you need that time to unwind and spend time with stuff, or is it like you're at it full time?
Yeah, I think it would have. I would have used to have had like less of an excuse, but at the minute, I'm kind of putting in a sort of 10-12 hours a day on a bunch of different jobs, and trying to kind of like dig myself out of a bit of a financial hole, and then it's with kind of any time that I've got that isn't doing that, is trying to spend kind of like having a relationship and whatnot. It's it's like if I sit down and kind of analyze it, there are probably good pockets of time to use, but it's just everything at the minute is like it's like there's like months are going by in just like a blink of an eye. It just feels like everything's just flying so fast, and I'm not getting enough done. And I think at the minute I'm having a thing of kind of trying to address a certain level of anxiety that I've noticed has kind of just been present in me on a constant for quite a while, that I'm only really kind of just coming to terms with. And I think as I kind of grapple with that and get that under control, it'll help and things will slow down and kind of get back to normal again. But at the minute, even if things aren't a mile a minute, it feels like everything's a mile a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully believe it's completely hectic. I just think there's a lot of stuff gets rationalized away as kind of being like really busy.
Yeah.
When it's when it's like I mean, yeah. Without if I got into it more, I think it might get a bit more weird. But like, yeah, a 12-hour day. And then having, I mean, I've dated, and I've noticed that dating is a time-consuming thing. I noticed that I imagine
it's much less time-consuming if you live with the person.
Time-consuming. Yeah,
there is an understanding
that
I can work on the couch next to Vix for like a couple of hours, and that there is a certain degree where that classes are spending time with each other.
Yeah, but it's still like speaking from a. I mean, how do you feel about fireworks? in general, because I've got a theory. I don't. You might be an exception to the rule, but do you like fireworks?
Did
you go see some fireworks over the past month?
No, we spent the time in with the dog. To be honest, I wanted to see how we'd be. He was fine. He didn't give a fuck. He was great.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I enjoyed spending the time with the dog, listening out for fireworks more than I enjoyed actually going and watching fireworks.
It's like last year. Did you go see fireworks?
Last year, maybe if not last year, then the year before, and it was fucking awful. So I didn't just queuing up to go and it was.
I think it's just it's one of those things. Like I don't understand it at all, but I just had a realization this year. I was like, I don't think single people go to fireworks. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those like relationship rituals, like going to a brunch or something like that.
Yeah,
or, there's loads of societal things that are like really designed for couples.
Dads walking around with their kids on their shoulders and all of that stuff.
Yeah, or just to get out the house because they're fucking sick of sitting next to them on the sofa, or whatever reason it is. But it's like it's the little things like that add to daily life.
Yeah.
Of non-single people, I think that maybe kind of goes unnoticed by me because I just kind of like, why would I do that? I can blow stuff up in my house, all this stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in terms of trying to find a not a moral of the story, but like a through line is if things are very hectic at the moment, in terms of whatever reason it would be. Look, we can always try and find ways to make this less hectic and make this more of a break. Like, I mean, the articles. If we put on hold all on your side any creative discussion, I guess, or do you know what I mean? Like, if we do a minute-month thing, or if I'm talking about any creative stuff, it'll all be on my side and be more of a you laughing at me failing catastrophically, right? Could do that. Could work.
Yeah.
No pressure for articles, that kind of thing. Or if it's just like, want to take a break from it until things calm down.
Yeah.
Then these are all just things to think about. It's not a snap decision.
I think that's a problem I'm wrestling with though. Is that if you like if it's something that you want to pile more into, like And if you want it to be kind of like a creative kind of outlet for you, I would feel pretty shit if I wasn't at least trying to bring the same amount to the table. Because I think we'd always kind of imagined this as all being like a joint venture, whether it has or hasn't been over periods of time or whatever, regardless. I think that's how we kind of imagined it at the very least.
Well, then what about...
I think it becomes something different in that instance.
Well, then what about... I mean, if
Oh, to be clear, I'm not really asking for anything to change, and I'm not asking for anything. It's just kind of like venting whatever's on my head.
For sure.
On my head
for sure.
At the minute.
Yeah. It's very much just like we haven't spoken in a long time anyway, so it's just like, catching up and figuring out what to do next without getting too heavy. But yeah, like we can, because the good thing about this being ours is there's no requirements for us to do any creative shit on this, right? Like, even if it was a case of you do your creative stuff on your YouTube channel, and I make another YouTube channel to do creative stuff, then this can be the through point of, again, just kind of catching up to chat about the creative stuff that we're doing / chat shit. Yeah. Yeah? Would that alleviate any of the pressure?
Well, I think creatively, like, that's kind of how we intended it originally. It was meant to encourage us to do stuff, regardless of what it was. It's just that it didn't, and we just talked about the news instead.
Yeah. But then I think again, this is where I kind of felt like I was kind of dragging, was like, I was trying to be like, well, let's do more creative stuff. Let's go out and do stuff, ideas of how to grow it and stuff like that. But it felt like we weren't on the same page, or we weren't in the same headspace.
Yeah.
So it could just be healthier, rather than me doing it in the joint venture of this podcast. I can do my creative stuff on mine, and you do your creative stuff on yours, and then we collaborate whenever we want. But this is just, we catch up every week, chat about new stuff, chat about stuff we've been up to. Yeah. But it's not necessarily, I won't, the only difference here is I make a bit more of an effort to hold your feet to the fire a little bit if you're not being creative, because that's just how I treat myself. Yeah. And if we remove that from the podcast, then you can do your stuff independently, and then I'll do my stuff independently, and then just collaborate as and when we want, kind of thing. Yeah, we could do that.
I think that works.
Yeah, we could do that. So, and then again, this can all be, after X amount of time, we can still do shit together.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's not kind of like, it's not turning that idea down altogether. It's just like, while like you're kind of like dragging me through things to kind of get shit made and stuff, I don't want to kind of be in a situation where I either don't want to do something or don't feel like I've got the time to do something, but I'm kind of committing to it because it's something that I feel like we should be doing, when really it's only it's only you that's like really passionate about it or something.
Yeah. That's cool.
I don't want to stop you doing things.
You wouldn't. But I know what you mean. And I think that's the energy that I kind of picked up, was like when we did the Father's Day stuff, was kind of like, I feel like you're saying that you feel like you're supposed to want to do this, if you know what I mean. At the time, I just remember, no accusations or anything, but at the time I remember being like, are you sure you want to do this? Because it feels like I'm feeling like you're not all in, kind of thing. Yeah. So I think if we remove that temporarily, at least, and just be like, go do other stuff, and then you go do other stuff. Yeah. Then just have this as a catch up kind of chat about shit. I think. It's cool. Yeah, I think. Because then it just becomes an hour-long phone conversation at the moment. Yeah. Of just catching up shit once a week, which is hopefully a bit more manageable on your side. Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't know. I feel I don't feel like kind of like the time or whatever that I'm putting into what this is really that laborious at all, because it's literally at the minute it's literally just been finding articles, whether it's here or over Zoom or whatever. It's really not that much different. It's just that at the minute I always just feel like I should be doing something else, and that's a shit way to approach any kind of project. When you say doing something else, you mean instead of this? Yeah. Okay. Not instead of recording, but instead like all the kind of like the researchy stuff, getting the articles and the setup and that shit. And by the time that's done, I feel like I'm just being a fucking total downer for approaching the recordings, which isn't fair when you're putting kind of like so much work into the articles and the prep and everything. That's cool. That's fine. So if the energy drain is from your side, it's coming from researching the articles and stuff, and then to a further extent like that stuff, you don't have to do that bit.
No, again,
You know what I mean?
again, it's just empty in my brain at the minute.
It's emptying your brain.
As in, I'm just empty. I'm just
for sure. This is not. I'm not offended, or anything like that. This is generally me trying to find a good solution in terms of it. Because again, I want to phrase, like, if you do want to take a temporary break again, like a temporary break to do other stuff, totally cool, like completely cool. If you want to take a step back in some regards, like researching articles and stuff, totally cool. If you want to go further in, you're more than welcome. I know this is a collaborative effort, but like, it's, if you're saying that you would rather the podcast takes a break, or the podcast stops, then again, that's not an offensive thing to me. That's perfectly cool. Can go and do separate stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a solution. I'm trying to figure out what it is you're saying.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to. I don't want to like just stop like altogether or anything. I think, but I also think it's still different doing it over fucking Zoom, and we've been doing it like this for so long. Where we had a couple where it was in person in the middle, and that did feel like really refreshing. I do wonder if it's if a lot of it is kind of just a format thing.
Can be
that's kind of different in person, because we did like there was a kind of aspect that we always said about this, like if you described it to someone, what is it? And it's like two guys talking in a pub. It's not like two guys talking over the phone. Like there's a
it's not like reading a text conversation, kind of.
Yeah. It is
overhearing a walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, I mean, what about so you don't want to stop full stop. So what about a less regular, like maybe it's not weekly anymore. Maybe it's just we get together every now and then and talk about stuff that we've seen. Let's put it this way, right? It whatever you want to do, it's not going to affect me at all. Like, I'm still going to be finding these articles. I'm still going to be talking about them somewhere. I'm still going to be maybe documenting them somewhere, and exploring it and trying to do that kind of, because I've just gotten in the habit of it for the past 6 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it's like the idea originally was, well, if I find stuff that's funny to me, make note of it and try and expand upon it and do stuff. So it's not like there's going to be no resentment or anything like that. I'm just going to carry on. So it's what is it that you would kind of like to do to add amicable, not amicable, but what's the best solution?
I think for the time being, stay kind of as the format is, and try and get back in person again.
Okay.
And then go from there. And in the meantime, I want to see where this kind of YouTube thing goes, and there is a tipping point as to kind of how much you can pour into anything, but I do like the idea of this being what it was kind of originally intended, which was just like us kind of like going through whatever creative output we happen to be doing that week or that month or whatever. Like the fucking Walrus movie. Yeah,
for sure. So I can understand that this may be on some level confrontational, this conversation we've been having. It's not confrontational anyway. I just want to throw that out there.
It's trying to work things
purely
out.
Just talking out loud. So like, what about instead of news articles, it's more focused on creative stuff that we've been doing, or is the news article still because I agree with you that it is kind of like filler that can kind of become, well, I don't need to talk about my creative stuff this week because I've got 10 news articles I can talk about.
Yeah, but then it's also the news articles and stuff. It's difficult because it came in and because it's the kind of thing that we do talk about. Like, it is just a thing where it's like I feel like it's, well, particularly while we've been on Zoom and everything, like it has just, that's been the show.
Yeah. So like it's become a crutch, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's become something that we've kind of leaned on way too much.
Yeah.
And we should be doing more creative stuff, right? I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if we think about like next week, for example, let's focus on, again, problem solving, single dad on a school trip. Remember your packed lunches. Let's say next week, right, find out when we're both free, focus on trying to get it done in person, focus more on, if we are able to, talk about creative stuff for the entirety.
Yeah.
And then there's news articles, there's stuff that's funny, that maybe it's a case of, I read this news article and it spawned this idea. It could be, you know, difficulties you've had with the Helios 44-2. That was just the thing that came up. You know what I mean? Like, and then, like, you know, the process of doing it and focus on that kind of thing. Maybe it becomes, maybe we've been hiding behind the news, behind the laughter of the news. So yeah, let's do that, right? And again, we can reevaluate, see how it goes. I've heard you. I've heard what you've had to say. I'm listening. I care. There's lots of love.
Yeah.
And there's no.
But I don't think. Yeah, like you say, I don't think this is confrontational at all. It's just trying to figure out what I'm kind of thinking and what you're thinking as well.
I don't think. I just kind of walk through life hating, and then I just kind of carry on.
Oh.
Now I'm 33.
But anyway.
So let's lighten the mood, shall we?
How's your time
so
off
I've lost. Oh, fucking horrific, mate. Like, genuinely horrific to the point where I can't really talk about it much. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
fair enough.
My dog got injured and was very sick. And it was like, I don't realise how much of a psychopath I really am until it's like, genuinely something very close to the bone is going on. I'm like, I can't talk to anybody. There's a Hannibal Lecter mask, like 10 meters thick when it comes to me and other people. Like you said before, like you think I'm a bit more patient with people than you are. Yeah. All that patience is just more and more barricades to keep the angry gorilla demon within. That's all it is. Just psychopathic energy. Like, just like, no, but it was genuinely heartbreaking. Like, so she started limping, no idea why. Could be because of a number of reasons. She's stepped on something, she scratched her paw, she's did this. But rested up, cleaned it every day, still kind of limping. Then she starts having these massive growths underneath her armpits, which turned out to be, she was running, well, I took her to a park I only go to very rarely, and she ran through some long grass, so it was like an allergic reaction, but it was like, oh my God, there's growths on my dog. Yeah. But they cleared up, then she's been on antibiotics and stuff like this. She's been in a really rough way. She seems fine now, but it's just, your brain just goes to, maybe. Yeah, I got sort of friends, like acquaintances that we have were posting up like, oh, we just went to the vets and I found out my dog had bone cancer, so we put her down. Such a shame. And I'm just like, don't show me these things right now. Fuck you, Facebook. You're meant to be showing me things I'm meant to like. You know what I mean? So like, the thoughts that go through your mind and the parental side of like, oh my God, is it because I did very small thing X or Y or that kind of thing? But like she'd like walk around, she'd be like screaming in pain because like, and it's like maybe she just sprained it or something like that. But anyway, so I had to take a break for that because I was just like, I can't talk to anybody. Like there's no filter. It would just be so aggressive. If anybody was to talk to me about my dog, I'd be like very, very defensive. So I had to take a break for that, and that was all kind of all seems to have settled down now. And then the vets are a bunch of cunts. Like, but they're not a bunch of cunts. It's just I can't deal with people.
And we are over 30 seconds in, aren't we? You can't say cunt. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like it just like all of that kind of amalgamated into like this pyramid that started to build in my mind of like, well, okay. And then I reached out to some people, right? I mentioned that, right? But before I get to that. No, no, no. I think it's a good progression. So I reached out to some people to be like, hey, I'm a bit emotionally vulnerable. My dog's very injured. And it's like, and again, I'm not, I know that I reached out to you, but this isn't specifically talking about you, right? This is like, just in general, reached out to people and then just didn't get a response. And I was like, okay, no, it's totally cool. At the end of the day, I'm an independent person in terms of how I view society. Society happens on one side of the road. You live on the other side of the road. You just have to be independent. So then it escalated to reaching out briefly to people about, you know, on the next level of things, being like, oh, you know, just feeling a bit, what's going on? They're like, yeah, but you're fine, right? It's like, I'm the bigger brother, so I have to be like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all this kind of shit. And it realized when I was growing up, and I think still today, it was taught that like men struggle to talk about their feelings, right? That was meant to be a thing. Oh, don't be strong and silent. Don't bottle things up. So all my life, I've made efforts to not be that guy. To be like, hey, I'm comfortable with myself and my emotions and all that stuff. I'm not bottling anything up. And then it started to realize that, hang on a minute, that's probably what other people thought about the men who don't want to talk about their feelings because they know that you're fucking inadequate. They're not talking to you about life because you're useless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's that weird little tilt. So take, for example, the doctors, right? I've been to the doctors and again, very open about everything. I've been like, hey. And they're like, okay, cool, we'll get back to you in about 2 years. And I'm like, but I've told you everything, right? I've done the responsible thing as a person to be like, hey, oh, this is bad, right? This is like a real alarm system. And they're like, yeah, but, you know, yeah, we're on it. And then it's like, you can't trust these people. So then you go like, well, why would I talk to doctors anymore? It's not because I'm insecure about my feelings or, you know, feeling too masculine. It's like, no, it's just there's no point talking to you anymore. Like I went to, I was walking past I've got an eye test in the next couple of months. And I couldn't remember what the date was. So I was just walking past the place I knew it was at and I just went in to say, hey, can I just check what date my appointment is? And she said, so what, you're in today? I said, no, I'm not in I don't know. I've got an appointment in the next couple of months. Can you just look up on your computer when it is? Well, it's not today. Okay, excellent, thanks for that. So do you know when it is? I know it's either this month or next month, that's all I know. She said, well, did you get a letter? I said, yeah, I did get a letter. I lost the letter. I'm a dickhead, I understand that. Like, I'm not taking that personally. I genuinely accept that I'm disorganised. When is it? Oh, it says on the letter. Does it?
They can't just search your name.
Does it say on the letter? Because if it says on the, I haven't got the letter. You know what I mean? And then I was just nodding at this woman, just being like, just type it on your computer. She said, I'll have to go get a nurse. A nurse? To check an appointment. But she came back and gave it to me in the end. But it was just that moment of just like, why am I wasting my time with this person? It's not that I don't want to get an eye test because, oh, what if my eyes don't work? It's like, no, just there's no point talking with this person anymore. And I've noticed that with a lot of other things. So that was crushing in terms of society. I've always known that I believe that society goes on and I'm kind of on the outside of it like a psychopath. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, when it comes to relying on systems or whatever, it just becomes like, every man is an island, not because they're emotionally in turmoil, it's because they don't like you. So every man should be an island, because that's the definition of, that's somewhat of the definition of a man I adhere to, in terms of you need to be completely self-sustainable, you need to look after yourself and others. You should not be in a position where you have to rely on something else. You can do.
Every man should be capable of being an island.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like, I mean, I imagine there'll always be things that I will take as an independent responsibility. Like, obviously, that should get less and less the better support network you have. But I feel like there should always be a point where every man should be an island. I just found it funny that I thought before it was because of like, oh, he's been through so much stuff, he doesn't know how to, you know, process and reach out. It's like, no, he just doesn't want to reach out to you. It's just, it's what it seems more and more of. Yeah. So yeah, and the doctors was a good example in terms of like, I just can't, this seems this seems like I don't trust you anymore, so why would I continue?
Yeah.
So it seems like a weird thing to do. So yeah, all that kind of stuff, dog stuff, some personal stuff as well, just stuff going on. I didn't realize like how much of there's a few negative things I get about doing the podcast from people. Like in terms of like consequential things of like, oh, because I've talked about something on the show. Right. I've told you before, like one woman went crazy because you and I were talking about a mutual friend.
Oh, the gym thing.
Yeah, and she thought I was talking about her, and it was like, no, I was talking about, and genuinely was talking about we were talking about a mutual friend, and she heard it and went on a massive tirade about, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. So like, there was a few of that coming up to over the past couple of months and stuff. So yeah, I needed a break, took a break, and then it was like, right, okay, come back now and do stuff. Which means, yeah, we've currently got 2 episodes in the bank from before, which were quite stressful to record one of them because it was in a bad internet area. But they'll be somewhere eventually, but they may be like when we miss a recording, can throw that up.
Yeah,
kind of
it
thing.
is useful to kind of just have them.
Yeah, because we were thinking like, well, I was thinking like, well, let's take a break at some point. I need a break. Let's take a break over Christmas or something. Let's record 8 hours of extra footage. And that's got to a point with the dog, especially, that I was just like, no, let's just take a break now, take the consequences, see what happens.
And to be fair, like, we've been doing this for 5 years, over 5 years now. I think. And like this is the first time we've ever missed a week, let alone 6 or 4 or whatever it was. Like, it's something that can be said, but it still feels like it's more, we could have prepped for it better, we could have organised it better or whatever. But I think it's more just of a priorities thing. I was like, nah, I need to. Yeah. You know, it would have been bad episodes, so it was like, just take a break and then come back strong. Come back and do it. But yeah, there was a little bit more to that. But yeah, just I analysed that as growing up, because I think it was like very much with the emotional attachment I have to my dog is probably way stronger than it should be. But that's the kind of person I am. So it's like, well, having to come to terms with that and figure out what to do with it, and then just being like, right, well, need to independently carry these burdens. And just figure out how to deal with it. Kind of was almost the death of innocence. Yeah. So it was like, well, got to be a grown up now. So that's been fun. Yeah. Did I message you back when you messaged, or was I a dick?
You said, "Oh."
I thought I'd messaged you back.
You said like, sorry to hear about that. You know what I mean? And again, this really isn't a Steve, you bastard.
No.
It's just a genuine.
I know. I just couldn't. I couldn't remember.
Even if you had responded in whatever way, I think it still would have been a thing, because it's I don't know. I'm somewhat isolated in terms of. It's that bigger brother syndrome that I've talked about regularly. It's just like I'm more interested. And speaking as a noble person, I'm more interested in like looking after others, and it's like it's a gut-wrenching reaction of like, let's sort you out, I'll be fine, let's sort you out. So as soon as it becomes like, well, I'm going through something, I'm more concerned about, well, it's not about you, or it's like, you're doing great, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it was an independent thing that I think everybody goes through, triggered probably by different things, and mine was a limping dog, and she decided to eat her way into my heart. Bitch. But yeah. So yeah, it's been a mental acrobatics, I think, for a little while, but it's come out positive. It's just my it's added another layer now, I think, to my view of the world, and it's just become there's a lot of things that are just a waste of time. And it's just like, well, one of them is, reaching, is like the doctor's thing. You just go like, look, I can try, but if nothing comes back, hey, just forget about it. You know, eat more broccoli, or you know, try grilled cauliflower. I don't know, see if that works. And then yeah, one of the things was, and when I said like dragging, it's not just you. That's a natural thing that I do with lots of people, because it's like I did it with you at uni, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's go out and play basketball. Let's go out and do this. And then as I got older, that evolved into a teacher single parent on a school trip of trying to get people to go to the museums. Like, come on, let's go do this, because I know you would feel better if you went out and did something.
Yeah.
So I need to make an effort. I need to make a conscious effort to stop doing that with everybody and just do it with, and for better for everybody in the long run. Just be like, well, focus on, I'll do this. If people want to join, more than welcome to join. But yeah, in terms of dragging people, I think it's a point now where I go like, yeah, I'm not going to drag anyone kicking, I'm not going to drag anybody anywhere.
No.
I mean, like, loads of different examples, but I can't think of any example that won't specifically name people. But yeah, I just need to be like, hey, you need to figure stuff out. Once you've figured it out, then you can talk to me, and then you can join whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, just a growing up experience. How about you for the past six weeks or so? How are you, Steve?
Oh,
I can't remember what we talked about.
Not the best. Our HelloFresh subscription has expired.
Oh, sorry, mate. It's rough.
It's
Talk about death of innocence.
Yeah.
What do you mean it expired? You had a free trial or something?
We had two
So
free
now they want
trials
you to
in a
pay
row.
money for your food. That sucks. No more beetroot in the post. Oh no, you have to go to the shop for your beetroot. Oh, what about your radishes, mate? I'm so sorry,
it was actually an adjustment getting used to going to the fucking shops again. We were on this stupid thing
Why
for
did
like
you pay for it?
6-8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Because we we got like 40% off for like 2 months in a row or something. So like it worked out cheaper than actually going shopping. But it's just I don't know. It's getting used to regular life again. Your meals aren't half made for you anymore.
No more kippers for breakfast. Now it's all sachet yogurt or something. Well, not anymore. I'm assuming that's what HelloFresh was.
Yeah.
It's a little sachet of yogurt.
Yeah.
Oh, have this yogurt and
everything's
shut the fuck
like
up.
measured out and stuff. I say measured out.
Yeah.
It's too much of everything. But still, everyone's had it rough, I think.
There's a whole thing about people and food and shopping and stuff, and that if it's easier to just get it ordered, even if it's like 10-20% more expensive now that the promotional offer's over, can be like, well, that 20% is better spent doing that because it's one less thing to worry about and one less thing to go out and do. So
I don't feel that way. To be fair, by the end I was getting a bit bored by the inflexibility of it. Like I'd like to I'd like to be able to decide what I want to eat, even if I'm just going to eat the same thing I always eat.
Don't you pick on HelloFresh? You pick the meals.
Yeah.
So you wanted more decision than the decision that you were currently making.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I feel bad for you. It's tragic at the end of the day. It's a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. I went to the cinema the other day, and I was.
It's bad as just not getting the boxes of prepackaged, barley that I was used to.
Devastating.
It's rough.
Yeah. No, to be fair, life's life is what it is. I haven't been through any shit.
Single service Fight Club comes to mind. Single serving passenger. Single serving Steve.
Yeah.
See, everything on a plane is single serving. I get it. It's really clever. Yeah. Go start a terrorist organisation.
I went to the cinema the other day and I realised that I hadn't been in about 2 years. I think the last time I went was
Joker.
Was to see the Joker with you at Cineworld.
It's on Amazon at the moment. I've been watching it, and it's still fucking hilarious. It's still so hilarious. Like it's been so long since I've seen it. I'm watching it and it's fresh for me. I'm like, oh, this is so fucking funny. How anybody can't see this as absolutely a comedy is beyond me.
Yeah. He literally walks into a glass door at one point.
Yeah, well, and it's a beautiful, beautiful performance because it's like the whole thing is it's all clownish, but it's real, but it's done so well, and it's just so hilarious all the way through. Yeah. Oh, this big giant rats are attacking the city. What are we gonna do about this? Like, what? How is that not ridiculous for everybody? So I don't feel guilty about laughing like a maniac throughout the whole film in the cinema, in the background.
Yeah. The thing is, that's kind of your MO. It was just even better that we were in the disabled box, so nobody could see where the laughter was coming from.
Yeah, it was just coming from around, and like there's been a couple of mass shootings now where someone's dressed up as Joker, so it's like, well, is anybody's finding this funny? And like. I think a few people I spoke to about that film, they're like, it seems like a very Nick film. It's like, oh, that one where he goes mental and just shoot. Yeah, sounds like me. Just start stabbing people. But all of it throughout is very, very funny. Oh, have you seen The Guilty? It's on Netflix at the moment. Jake Gyllenhaal.
No.
Have you heard anything about it?
No.
You may have done.
No.
Right, watch it. Watch it. It's good. One, it's very much a an A-level drama. Or drama at uni kind of thing. It's a film told entirely from the perspective of a 911 call handler.
Okay.
So there's something happening, and they're calling in periodically, and he's picking up and he's trying to follow it.
I've vaguely seen a trailer for that. I think that's about as far as it's got. But
just watch it, because there are some moments in it that are absolutely brilliant, and I can't give away any of it. But it came as such a size sucker punch for me that I was like, this film's amazing now. Yeah. So I'd recommend that if you're wanting to watch something. I think it's like an hour and a half, something like that. Just like The Guilty. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix film, I think.
Cool.
And it's worth it just for some of the golden moments in it. Highly recommend it.
Awesome.
But yeah, so what did you go see at the cinema? Sorry.
It was an anime film for Vix. Like, I'd never really gotten into anime stuff, and I still don't. There's something really stunted about it, in that I don't really. And it sounds really ignorant for a former film student, but I don't really dig going to like subtitled films. So for anime stuff, it's always dubbed, and because it's dubbed, you've got people writing in English that's whatever is a rough translation of whatever's in Japanese, but still trying to make that fit the mouths, fit the way the mouths are moving, and it always just feels really clunky for me. And dialogue's such a big thing that I was never really able to get into it, and I think that barrier is always going to be in the way. But I also think just seeing something in a cinema just kind of zones you in, and you'll get into it no matter what it is, really. Mm-hmm. So it was good. It was good.
I went and saw the new Bond film in that period, and oh man, such a not a good film, just like in any way.
Is it Daniel Craig?
Yeah, but it's just like this film is so bad. There's so many it's just like, how
I saw Spectre and that was crap.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Spectre or the Quantum of Solace. But the other three, or the other Daniel Craig,
most of his stuff has been really good. Yeah,
really good. But this film, I mean, especially, is just a complete waste of time. Like, I was genuinely, I've never had this. I was genuinely tempted to leave after like 10, 15, about 20 minutes. I was like, this is just really bad. I mean, like, it's been a while. I didn't plan on talking about it. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's literally like, oh shit, Daniel Craig doesn't want to do Bond anymore. Okay, right. Well, he hasn't done this Bond thing, and he hasn't done this Bond thing. So let's put them in the film real quick. And then it's like, we need to replace Bond, right? I mean, who's going to be the next Bond? I don't know. It's fucking, I don't care. And then they were trying to promote, they were trying to promote the transition from Daniel Craig to somebody else, and it was just done so obviously and forcefully and boring. And it was just like, we get it, you're thinking about doing this. It's like, oh shit, oh, do you remember this character? This character was great, let's put him in it randomly for like 5 minutes. It's all that, and you're just like, this is so shit, this is so lazily done. They were just trying to cash in on Daniel Craig having another film. I mean, there's a villain in it who might as well not be in it.
But the villains...
They're like, at the end, they're like, oh, what? Oh, and then the villain comes out. You're like, why? Because we want to do this ending. Like, okay, but you could have just done that, right? No. Because the villain's the villain, right? He's got to be like, suddenly, and by the way, I'm the villain. You know what I mean? It's a horrible, horrible, horrible film. But people really love it. I was surprised, like hearing stuff on the radio when it was out. When it came out, we were like, "Oh, it's amazing! It's Bond." It's like, nice, mate.
Probably still see it anyway because Vix and her family all want to see it.
Oh, sure, but yeah, but I'll be interested. I'm interested to see what other people think because I saw it with my brother.
But then,
and like,
I think a lot of the tropes and everything like that won't be nearly as offensive to me, just because I'm not nearly as into kind of that whole the whole Bond lore as you were.
I love the tropes. Like in Skyfall.
You've always been massive on Bond, though, haven't you? Whereas it's still like a fairly new thing for me.
The same way I am with Star Wars is like I know all the references. I've played, I played the games as a kid or whatever. The cultural references are in my head. Like I had friends who are hardcore Bond fans, but like I've just seen the Daniel Craig ones really, and then it's not really huge, but I get the references they're making. In Skyfall, they made the references beautifully. Like, however obvious they were done really well. And now in this one, it's literally just like, that Bond, he wears a tux, right? Yeah. Well, this is the tux. Like, oh, cool. His gun's got like oil in it, right? Yeah, it's like, it's just done. I think it's done really badly, but fight me on it.
Just obvious.
I would have talked to somebody about it. So yeah, if you're planning on seeing it, be interesting to talk about it afterwards.
I didn't even know it was out, to be fair. The one I want to go and see is Dune.
I've heard a lot of people talk about, sin posts. I haven't looked into it that much, but yeah.
And to be fair, I just kind of want to go see it because of like being on the hype train. It seems like one of those things that you should see. But I never saw the original. Somebody mentioned Dune to me, and I thought they were talking about Tremors, which I now that I think about it, I think they might be very similar. Like Tremors is the one with the worms underground, where you can't walk on the ground because it attracts the worms, and then they're in giant worms, and they come and eat you and destroy cars and shit. And they're all in the desert. Call upon
and all the early birds to step up. Right, something like that.
Yeah. Like that was Tremors, and I think that was a Disney movie. Whereas Dune is, I don't even know what Dune is. I just assumed it was Tremors, and it's not.
I know nothing about it. I've just seen some people on my Facebook friend list say like they liked it.
Yeah,
but they're not necessarily people that I go like, we're on the same page.
Yeah,
but Bond was a while ago, like 6 weeks when we stopped recording. Pretty much.
Oh right,
was when it came out.
I think I just don't watch TV. I would have assumed I'd have seen like an advertisement or something, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio in shops. That was about it. But yeah, mine was just like, my brother was up, so it was like, hey, let's go do something. What's on at the cinema? Oh, there's a Bond film. Let's go do it.
Right, got you.
Yeah, this hasn't been too much film stuff.
Yeah.
But he went to the cinema. It was good. Anime, dubbed.
It was fine. I got into it, and the story they were telling and everything was good in the end. It's always just that kind of stunted thing that I'm just not... I don't think I'll ever get past. I think it's kind of a cultural thing, and if you weren't into it when you were young, I don't know if you'll get into it now. Like, I don't know. Like, for example, like I'm like mad into wrestling. I don't think I could find someone my age who's never seen it and get them hardcore into it. I think it's something that you kind of have to grow up with.
Maybe. I've fallen on a weird line with that because I've never gotten into any anime, I don't think. But I really liked Terrace House, which was like a Japanese reality show. But it was like, there was just that medium was like, it's more interesting. The whole flashing lights and animation style is just not my bag.
Yeah.
I can't get invested in it.
There's some of it that I like. I like the what the fuck are they? What the fuck's it called? Like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, and like it's a set of films by a particular studio. I can't remember. Studio Ghibli. I like Ghibli films but they are typically sort of not Western, but very much kind of celebrated by the West. Like, so they've won Oscars and things like that. So that we've got a lot more kind of exposure to them. Plus, the art style is just ace if you're into that kind of thing. But I've never really ventured outside of that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not a language barrier for me. It's just it's the same thing I have with, you know, I really, really want to get engrossed and lose myself in a story or a show or something like that, and just for whatever reason I probably haven't given anime enough of a chance. But like, yeah, there's been a lot of resistance, a lot of like, oh, it's, yeah, I can't quite get into it kind of thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, could probably give it a go. Yeah, so well, it wouldn't quite be the show without some specific articles that I thought would be worth mentioning.
Fair enough.
So can wrap up with some of these. Smash Mouth lead singer Steve Harwell is retiring after a controversial concert in upstate New York on Saturday that found him slurring his words and making vaguely threatening comments towards the audience. Fucking kill all of you. Somebody once told me.
This fucking song.
Oh, fuck, why do you do this to me? It's just like, I mean, Smash Mouth is probably, must have a horrible existence. I mean, unless you really, really, like, turn your blind eye to it.
Well,
like,
they've lived for
they're so
20
memed.
years on one song.
Yeah, one song, maybe two songs, and like it's the trolling song, so it's like they've probably got loads of fans that are just there because of a laugh.
Play the song.
Oh, I'm gonna go there to see All Star.
Play the one song.
It's like, what was that band, House of Pain? Like, there was a mild version of it when I saw them live. Yeah, they played Jump Around, and then the entire of I think it was Sonosphere just turned around and left. Oh. So like they were playing the next song, so they stopped and played Jump Around again.
Oh.
That's everyone's like, "Way!" And it's just like, oh man, that must be so soul destroying.
That's horrific.
I'm not surprised you're walking around like on some drugs or alcohol, slurring your words, having a stroke, threatening the audience. You'll get COVID. And then there was two other articles that I think were very interesting. I mean, this like I found this funny. I am very aware that it's probably not funny. A mum says that she cries every day after her 4-year-old daughter was tragically killed by a fireplace. It's so horrific. It's just like the worst thing that could ever happen to a person. But
it's just, was it lit?
Fireplace?
Was it just roaming the streets?
I was out looking for blood. I didn't fully understand it because there's bits that I haven't read it through. I took the notes. It's not that many notes. Natasha Azadi has spoken of her grief after a heavy marble fireplace fell on top of her only child. Oh, it wasn't one of those light marble fireplaces. It's one of those heavy ones. If it was a light marble fireplace, maybe little Jessica would be fine.
It just came off the wall.
I don't know. Let's read along, shall we? I genuinely can't remember. There's one thing that confused me, so I'm hoping that gets fixed. Jessica suffered fatal head injuries and couldn't be saved. Natasha says Jessica is in everything she does moving forward and tried to make her proud every day. Now, I'm not. It's genuinely one. I can't imagine life after this. And it does go into how she's coping with it, how she's trying to help others cope with it. It's very noble. But her daughter was
There's a whole
killed by a
support group
fireplace,
for
and that's
people
just
who
funny.
are killed by rogue fireplaces.
Fireplaces. The 32-year-old has said it's taken hard work to see any positive in her life after the tragedy. Yes, goes on. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Get back to the fireplace murder. Yeah, she suffered alcohol addiction, all that stuff. During an inquest into her death in 2017, coroner Claire Bailey concluded that Jessica died as a result of a fireplace.
Unreal.
Fucking coroner, like, fireplace. A tragic accident. The court heard how the fireplace, which was safely propped up against a fence in the garden, fell and struck her head. Now, I don't understand. This is the thing that really threw me. One, why is there a fireplace in your garden? Two, if it's safely propped up, how did it fall over? So it's just, maybe it's an outdoor fireplace, like a pizza oven, but it was marble.
Yeah.
Can marble go outside?
Probably,
I think it can.
I don't think it... I imagine it was just being stored there. Probably not kept.
Maybe they were going to install it.
Yeah.
Or they removed it, or whatever.
Something like that.
Propped up against a fence in the garden, it fell and struck her on the head. In summer of 2019, Natasha found the strength to set up her own Instagram profile to help others through grief. Yeah, fireplace-related grief.
Yeah.
So again, I couldn't stop laughing at that. It's obviously the worst thing that can happen to anybody. But it's just death by fireplace. It's just crazy. In other news, I'll do this as the last one, I think. Police officers and code enforcement officers arrived at a home at 9:16 a.m. to serve a nuisance search warrant, but couldn't make contact with the residents. Austin Police Chief Joseph Chacon said at an evening news conference that's what happened. The warrant was left at the door, and contractors for the city's code enforcement began working on the lawn. So this guy's front lawn. For whatever reason, the police were called in to cut this guy's lawn.
What?
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's like a public service order. America's really weird. They have like homeowner associations and something like.
So they got the police to do it?
They got the code, where was it? City Code Enforcement. So I think it's like probably their version of the council.
Right.
Come round to do this. About an hour later, the residents started shooting from inside the house. Leave my lawn alone! Bang! Fucking years growing that lawn. Don't you fucking cut my lawn. They immediately backed off. They got all of the staff that was working on the house to safety. Working on the house. They must just meet in the garden, right? To safety. And SWAT was called. SWAT, mental health officers, and a crisis negotiator arrived on the scene, but they could not get the man out of the home, leading to the lockdown of a nearby school and closure of several streets. Close the school. Oh, because there's a shooter, I guess. So you want to get them out of the area.
There's a shooter in the area, so get all the kids to spill out onto the streets.
Yeah, well, they probably evacuated him in one direction safely. I'm guessing that's what's happening here. Yeah. At about 3 p.m., the residents started shooting at officers again. And because of that immediate threat, they made entry using a robot. Well, that escalated quickly. They just came to cut this guy's lawn. Now they're breaching the house with robots.
Get the council robot.
The community SWAT robot. Fucking come in here. Fucking Robocop. The robot helped officers determine that a fire had been started in the home. Probably started by the evil robot. And was quickly spreading, he said. The robot said this? No, someone must have said it. Officers still couldn't get the man to come out of the house, and it became fully engulfed in flames. But then the man exited through the garage with weapons in his hand. At that time, a SWAT officer shot and struck the resident. Shot and struck. So shot him and hit him?
Shot and...
I guess?
I guess, as opposed to shot and killed.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
It made contact.
Mendez said the department had previous welfare visits to the home, but were never able to communicate with him. Their main goal Wednesday was to get the man in compliance with the local homeowners association. Yeah, so it was just mow your lawn.
Mow your lawn.
Yeah, just mow your lawn. And the guy was like,
house burnt down, firefight, schools evacuated, send in the council robot.
Like, I get it. I guess, like, you know, you don't want people mowing your lawn. If somebody started mowing my lawn,
it's the one. I don't want to mow my lawn. I like my lawn.
I like my lawn, and I like my house on fire. Yeah. And you just leave me alone. But like, I can understand. Like, if somebody like came to my house and started mowing my lawn, I'd be like, hey, get the fuck out. I'm not sure if I'd shoot them straight away.
Yeah, no, not straight away.
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, what's going on?
It wouldn't be the first thing
this is my property. Yeah, and then like, I mean, I don't think they said that they put the notice on the door. I'm assuming they didn't. They don't have letterboxes in America, so it wouldn't have gone through. The guy may not have read anything. There was just people outside mowing his lawn, and he just started shooting.
Yeah.
Fuck it, it's such a weird place, man. They attempted to cut the lawn for him, and this is the reaction they got. Mendez said, who's a police spokesperson said, "Oh, fair enough." Yeah, so don't mow this guy's lawn. Don't tread on me or my lawn, because then we'll kill you all.
Yeah.
Oh, and a very small one here. A woman has died after a care home refused to share their defibrillator. It's mine.
No. Oh,
It's my defibrillator. It's mine. Get your own.
I paid for that.
Yeah, for care home. Oh, we care. Not
Do
about
you?
you.
That's
A
ridiculous.
daughter says... Yeah, apparently the woman's daughter says she was sent by 999 operator. Oh, so 999 sent
over
her
here.
to the care home. So what, sorry?
It was over here.
Yeah, it was in the UK. Yeah, it was in the... in the UK somewhere. I didn't leave much notes because that was kind of the only funny thing for it. But yeah, so someone needed a defibrillator. Her daughter rang 999. They said, "Go to this care home. That's your nearest defibrillator." So she went there and they told her to go fuck herself. I mean, I guess like.
Well,
I
those
guess
things
you
are
can't
like
just
they're
give it
not
out.
public property, but they are publicly shown, aren't they? You call the ambulance. They tell you where they are, and they give you the code to get into them, don't they?
Yeah. But
'Cause we've got a bunch of
again,
them
this is
around
a care home, so it's in there somewhere. The care home staff told her that it was not for public use. It's like
Well,
it's so like I can understand like if
I'll just fucking die then, shall I?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry to be so rude, but like maybe there was no one else there. It was just a teenager asking for a defibrillator, and they're going to go like, no, yeah, but my mum's having a heart attack down the road. Maybe they wouldn't believe her, but they could send someone with her, right? With the defibrillator,
Yeah.
be like, hey, we can come help, not just like we're not going to give it to you. But yeah, it was my defibrillator, not yours. You should have got your own defibrillator. Can't rely on people.
Did you hold a charity event to raise money for a defibrillator? No.
Go fuck yourself. But yeah, I mean, I've got loads of articles. But,
I've got a few. They're all pretty short, actually. A teen in Singapore accused of backflipping in a rhino enclosure has been issued a second warrant for his arrest after sleeping in when he was due in court.
If he's not backflipping, he's asleep. This guy. Fucking hate him.
Yeah, he's backflipping in a rhino enclosure and he like recorded it for TikTok. Like, go to court, and he just stayed in bed.
He just overslept.
And his own lawyer told the judge to issue a warrant for his arrest.
You guys deal with him. I don't want to deal with him.
I don't want any part of this anymore.
I get dizzy. He keeps backflipping around the office. I'm like, I get it. I get it. But just please.
2 inmates in death row on Japan are suing the state to try and stop same-day executions.
Like fast food.
Yeah.
Fast food execution.
which sounds weird, but it makes sense, right? I suppose it depends, like, to what degree do you care about people on death row's mental health? Because basically the system they have over there is you go on to you get sentenced to death, you go on to death row, and then you only find out when you're gonna die on the day you're gonna die. So like you'll be in your prison cell for ages, and then at some point someone will knock and be like, "Yeah, you're dying today." Like, oh fuck. So there's no real kind of time to prepare or anything like that. And like the whole time you're on death row, it's like, oh god, is it going to be today? Oh god, is it going to be today? And it's that, and it's just driving them like crazy in that. But they said there's nearly 100 people on death row, and there hasn't been an execution for nearly 2 years. So they've essentially just kept these people in prison, just waiting like just slowly or just going nuts, because today could be the day for any one of them. And it's like, to what degree? My perspective is that you have to approach it from a degree that they're innocent, because maybe they could be, and if you were to do that from that position, I think you could care about something like that. Like, but
no time to appeal.
Yeah.
Now you're dying today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's just it. Like, it leaves no time to appeal. But the weird thing is that the two of the guys on death row that are challenging it are suing for damages. It's like, you're still going to die.
Yeah, but I've been damaging.
Yeah, but I'll die £120,000 richer. But you'll be dead.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're being noble in trying to fight the injustice so that it doesn't happen to others, maybe?
I guess.
But
maybe.
yeah,
it's a strange thing. It does sound somewhat torturous, but at the same time, like, if you're on death row and you did whatever it was, I don't really care. Like, I think that's just part of it. But
it's just like,
given that there's a chance that anyone could be innocent, then you kind of have to try and treat people humanely.
Yeah, I mean, there was an article. There was an article. If it's completely obvious that they did the crime, there's so much context that can be applied, that can only be applied over time. Maybe they're in a mental state. Yeah. Maybe they did it for justifiable reasons, like was it a crime of passion or whatever. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. The whole death sentence thing still seems very strange. But especially if it's like just immediate same day delivery of death.
Yeah,
it just seems like efficient, sure. Well, but like, is there really an if there was a massive overpopulation issue, then maybe it becomes that ridiculous.
It's the waiting that they were stressing, that it's just like it's the not knowing. Like in every other country, if you're going to be put to death, you're told, like, yeah, okay, you're on death row. It's going to be you'll be put to death in 6 months on this date or whatever, and you've got that time to kind of come to terms with it and just kind of
family, talk to people, say goodbye, arrange stuff. Yeah,
all of that. Assuming that you're still in contact with people, but even mentally, like, come to terms with it. But with this, it's just like, don't know, dead.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
It's a weird one. It's always a weird one trying to like talk about like people who've killed, who've done like committed horrific crimes, and then trying to address a situation of like human rights. Like, it's always just been a weird one. Like sterilizing needles for lethal injections. It's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, but then it's how respectful do you treat people? I mean, like, why? Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a comical angle from it, but it also does seem like, this person that you're executing, they're no longer a person worthy of respect.
Yeah.
Like, they're still a person. I mean, admittedly, maybe they're completely evil. But like, if they're completely evil, why don't you beat them to death with their own shoe?
Yeah. I suppose there is a degree where it's like, well, you have to treat them with more dignity than they've treated others.
Yeah,
like to show that you're a better person, or that
it's just, if it's a medical procedure, how much medical procedure do you not do if they're being killed?
Yeah,
it's like, do you still wash your hands? It's like, do you not spit on them anymore? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you finish your sandwich, or do you just eat it while you?
Yeah, it's got to be treated with some kind of ceremony, I guess, because that's what separates us from, I don't know, hyenas or birds. Isn't it like birds? Like, if people come near birds' nests, the parents just go fuck off. Like, they just leave. Oh, my kids are now friends with people. Fuck them.
Some species will, like, if you handle the chicks or something like that, or if there's too much of a threat, then they'll be like, nah, it's not worth it. We can have more next year, because they have chicks every year. So, like, and it's so common for them to lose entire nests of chicks that they're just like, well, look, if we're still here, we can still have more. That's the way it's wired, anyway. I think there was some at a place I used to work that had chicks in an ashtray. Like,
Fuck it.
it was attached to like the outside
Not
door.
gonna
You know,
quit
there's
now.
there's metal bins, like the metal ash bins that they put on walls outside pubs.
Yeah.
It was inside one of those, and nobody knew until they were dabbing their fag ash in there, and the birds started. Yeah. But then it was shit because like it was in spring, and then by the time summer came and the chicks was sort of starting to move about a bit but not a lot, or it's like late spring or something, and the sun moved in such a way that the metal ashtray was in full sunlight for like 6 hours a day, and they just baked, like they all died. It was horrible.
But it's fucked up.
You know, good use the ashtray again, so that was all right.
Yeah, I didn't stop smoking.
Yeah. Oh,
More for you. Fool me once.
Speaking of stopping smoking, a woman suffering breathing problems in Canada has been diagnosed with climate change.
Oh, bad news. You've got DEFCON 6, climate change. Greta Thunberg will be here momentarily.
Because of
you've got melting ice caps.
Well, all of the problems that she's got has been to do with like air pollution and stuff. She's in her 70s. They said the air pollution where she lives is so bad, but it's so and they've diagnosed it. The doctors have diagnosed her with climate change.
If the world changes, you're gonna die. Fossil fuels? I don't know. You're dead. You're gonna die. It's fine.
Yeah.
Have you tried screw driving solar panels to your body? Maybe that'll help. I don't know. That sounds like a lazy diagnosis.
Yeah. It felt a bit political to me, but
what a political statement. She's dying because the world's changing.
Yeah.
Oh, boo. Have you seen? Have you followed Insulate Britain at all?
I've watched angry van drivers beat the shit out of hippies in the road. That was fun.
All right, the hippies in the road, are they the Insulate Britain people, I guess?
Yeah. They're dragging them out the road, and then other people screaming at them because ambulances can't get through, which is fair.
Like, well, yeah. I mean, it's really, really, really. There's so many levels of what you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I looked into them briefly, and the funniest thing I found was they're trying to make political change, right? They're trying to get they're trying to get more funding for housing insulation. That's their whole thing, because then we won't need as much gas to heat up homes. I don't know whether that means in summer we're going to have to cool people down using more. I had no idea, but that's their whole thing, right? So they want political change. On their website, they've got, I think it's under a tab called like civil justice or something like that, and it's like, this is the letter we emailed 10 Downing Street. Now, number one, it's printed out, so they, if you believe this, they printed it out, scanned it, then emailed it to 10 Downing Street. Which may not have been the case, but if that's not the case, why not include a screenshot of the actual email as opposed to a scanned version of the letter?
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly great for climate change.
No, and then they've like, so this is the thing we sent this to Downing Street, and it's like, dear Downing Street, our demands, blah, 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 this is what we want, blah, blah, blah. And then they've got, and this is their reply. And the reply is like an automated message that you've emailed the wrong place. So like, see, they're not listening. No, you're not talking to anyone. It's like, you've emailed 10 Downing Street. We're just a building. Administrative staff, the janitor. If you want to talk to Boris Johnson or the Conservative Party, click on this link or email this address and we'll forward it to him. And they're like, see, they're not even listening. It's like, you don't email the right people to begin with before you stand in traffic. So, or don't include the reply. It's so stupid. And then, yeah, I mean, everything they're doing is like they're gluing themselves in the road and stuff. And all over the website, they've got their big social media campaign is referring to their protesters as ordinary people. So like 67 ordinary British people came out and protested today. We're so thankful for you. It's like ordinary British people. You're gluing yourself to the road. It's not like ordinary. It's not. It's a bit more than ordinary. And then they got quotes from Albert Einstein on their fucking website.
Another ordinary British person.
Yeah, very enlightened. You know, they obviously listened to Albert Einstein. It's just like, what are you doing? And they're like, because of their protests, people are dying and being paralyzed.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to talk about it. They're like, no, let's talk about something else. It's like, no, you're killing people. Yeah, but the climate is going to really kill us. It's like, yeah, but in the short term, you're killing people.
Yeah.
Stop it, please. Such a mental organisation. I had a couple of friends who had never heard of them.
No?
I was like, oh, maybe it's a small thing. But yeah.
I just keep seeing videos of them getting beaten up by van drivers, and I'm all for it.
Well, it's just I don't understand blocking traffic in any protest at all. I have no idea how that helps anybody. Like you're just being a problem. No one's going to listen to you if you're throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
If what you say makes sense, there's enough platforms out there for you to make that statement.
Yeah.
And let them argue against you.
Well, it's just like people have already got enough problems. I understand you're trying to like do something bigger or whatever, however you think it's going to help. But making Dave late for work, who's just trying to feed his family, ain't exactly a good thing to be doing. Like and you're just going to stop those people giving a fuck about whatever you're doing.
Well, have you followed any of Elon Musk's recent claims? He's doing some interesting stuff. So like the UN, I think, again, I might be forgetting the reference, but it's something like the UN claimed online that if Elon Musk sold, 2% of his worth or something, or, some percentage of his worth, and it was like less than 10% or something. If he sold all his Tesla shares, let's say, then they could solve world hunger. And he got like, that's just a stupid comment or whatever. But then Elon Musk said, well, okay, I want to end world hunger. So if you can prove to me that it will help, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that I can end world hunger, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And like, there's been no response. Again, this was maybe in the past 4 weeks, so maybe it will go on to do more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just, it's not making noise. That's the real situation to make an argument.
They said if he sold 2% of his shares in Tesla for like $6 billion or something like that, that he'd be able to solve world hunger. And he said, well, you had the budget for the UN Food Crisis Fund or whatever the fuck it was that's making these claims last year was £8.2 billion, and there's still a lot of hungry people. So if you can tell me how doing this will help, I will absolutely do it. But all of the accounting that goes into it has to be completely transparent so everybody can see exactly where the money goes. And that's why there's been no response.
Yeah, and he's got, well, that's how you should have this discussion.
Yeah.
Is out in the open and just be like, look, we think we would use less gas or whatever, or fossil fuels or whatever, if there was more insulation in British housing. Why don't we do this? And you go like, well, let's have a public debate about this and figure out whether it's the right thing to do. Because maybe it is, and then maybe it'll get done. But if you keep standing in traffic and buying all the glue and emailing out of service wrong email addresses, all you're doing is just being a nuisance. And it's mainly the elderly who are doing this. And vicars, from what I've seen from their promotional material, vicars and old people standing on the motorway.
Yeah.
It's like, please, just talk.
Yeah.
No, they won't listen because you're emailing the wrong address. People don't like us because you've glued your face to the M25. Can you just stop doing this, please? So stupid.